ask is, how can a pastor make a difference? A story is told of a man who was walking by the shore on the side of the sea. And then as he was walking, he saw this huge number of starfishes that were, swept to the shore. And as he walked, there were thousands and thousands of them. And he was picking one by one, throwing them back into the sea. And then someone came along and said, "Why are you bothering yourself? These are just too many, for you to, throw back into the sea." The man stood up and took one starfish and threw it back into the sea, and he says, "At least that one, I've made a difference." And that's what maybe I'm looking at, even in sharing my story, that my story began many years ago. My mother died when I was 3 months old, and my father died when I was 9 years old. And I grew up really from, being taken from one relative to another. So I never got to stay in one place. And as a result, I met some relatives who were not so keen to take care of me. And as a result, I went through some horrible times. And I was poisoned, food poisoned. I was given sanza full of mabodoro. And I was thrown under a moving vehicle. And the last thing I saw was a wheel coming to run over me. But as people shouted, they went to look under the vehicle. They couldn't find me. And they saw me some meters away from them. Something that they couldn't understand. How did that happen? And then I realized in growing up later that when God has a purpose with your life, it doesn't matter what you go through. God will always find a way of making you live so that you can tell your story. And so my story is about how God preserved my life for this moment. Because when later on I was called into a full-time ministry, I then realized that God was preparing me for such a time as this. Because my story had a meaning, had something that God wanted me to bring back into the life of someone so-called an orphan. Because when I realized that God was really calling me into the full-time ministry, it was something that I couldn't even understand why. But then in prayer and understanding, I then realized that God was kind of like saying to me, it's now time for you to go back and give what I have given you. Give back what I have gone through with you. And so in sharing my life, I then realized that God was calling me to a full-time ministry, to kind of like love the orphan children and just being with them and just be there and be a father figure into their lives. And later on, God gave my own family and with my own children. Even if you look at me, I look young, but I'm a grandfather. Okay. My firstborn daughter, she has got 4 children, and second-born, she works for Sito Ferrari, and the other one, she's in South Africa for schooling, and my last-born son is at the university here locally. But we felt that God was saying it's not enough, and we went on to bring 2 more children, into our own family. So our family now is growing. And when I look at myself, I still ask that question, can a pastor make a difference? Yes, a pastor can make a difference. Not in a huge way, but in identifying just one child that you can bring into your own life, that you can bring into your own family and say, this one I'm going to look after or take care of in my family. And as they grow up, the circle will continue to grow, the circle will continue to happen. And then as well, in experiencing the love and the care and that they receive from you, one day they are also going to look back and say, what I have received from them is what I'm also wanting to give to someone else. And that's why we are saying it's possible to have a Zimbabwe without orphan.
We cannot have it in a huge way, but we can have it in a small way where we can make a difference in just one child. Just one child that you can bring into your own family and say, you know what, I can make a difference in this child's life. And that's how God is calling us as pastors, as leaders, to say it's not about the government, it's not about people out there, but it's about you as an individual to say, I want to do this, not for the government, not for my church, but I'm doing this so that God may be glorified, so that God may be seen in whatever I am doing, because He has called me to make a difference for what He has done in my life. And I said it before and I will say it again. It's not about people that are doing it or anyone else that we can think of. But I have come also to realize that, you know what Jesus has done for us. There is no one else who can give the word adoption a better definition than a Christian. Because that's what God has done for us. And when I'm doing it simply because I am simply showing what God has done for me. What God has done for me and my family. And when I do that, I'm doing it because I'm showing what He has done already in my life. So that's why I like what Baba AJ, I call him Baba AJ, the one who just spoken, that, and my sister, that we do not have to fear about Ngos. Because the question is, what is Ngos? Alright? We don't have to fear that, because Bible, not greater is He who is in us than he who is in the world. So we serve an almighty God. The one, the Bible says, every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that He is Lord. And so if we serve Him and love Him, we have nothing to fear, because what He has done for us, for Him to go onto the cross, to be willing to die on the cross and declare that it is finished, it was for you and for me. So that what He has done, we can also share the same to others. And that's why we are talking about the Zimbabwe Without Orphan. That's why we are talking about the church. That's why we are talking about the leaders. We can make the difference only if we can realize what Jesus has done for us. And we can take that same message back to the government and say, we are doing this because of what Jesus has done for us. And we want to stand with you. We want to support you. We want to show you exactly what we can do together as a team, because we believe in what God has done for us. And so we believe that we can do this, Amazam. We can do this. We can do this. I want you to look at the person sitting next to you and just tell them right in the face, we can do this. We can do this. We are the church. We are the one that we have been, Jesus came for. We are the one that Jesus went onto the cross and He was nailed on the cross. He suffered and He cried out, it is finished. The work was done so that you and me can make the difference. And surely as we live here this afternoon, you and me can go, we say, we can make the difference. Thank you.